All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the lesson on English articles. As I promised in my previous video that I will upload a video which is on English articles in detail. So this is the video. Now, what I have done was to divide this lesson on English articles into 3 parts. This is the first part, and then in future, I will upload part 2 and part 3. Without any waste of time, let's get started with the lesson. Now, we have a question to answer here, which is, what are articles? What are articles? Before we can actually go deep into this topic, let's first understand what we mean by articles. By definition, articles are words we put before nouns or before adjectives plus noun to show if those nouns are general, indefinite, or specific definite. These are the words that we put before nouns or we put before the combination of an adjective plus or followed by a noun. We have 3 of 4 words that we need to first understand here in this definition. The first word is noun. Okay? So just to quickly give you a review of what a noun is. A noun is the name of a person, animal, or thing. Meaning that the name of a person, the name of an animal, or the name of a thing. It could be anything, like a chair, table, the name of a play, right? Name of a person, Tom, Peter, Kevin. All these words are nouns. Okay? Next, an adjective. An adjective is a word that tells us how a noun is, feels, looks, etc. An adjective is a word that describes a noun. For example, beautiful car. Beautiful is an adjective, and car is a noun. So beautiful tells us how the car looks. So it is an adjective. All right? Now, we also use the word or the term general or indefinite noun. General or indefinite noun. What do we mean by this? By general or indefinite noun, we are talking about any noun, not exactly that noun, right? Not exactly that one, but it could be any. What do I mean by this? If I say, give me a pen, right? Give me a pen. I mean any pen, not a specific, not exactly that one, but any. It could be any. right? It could be a blue pen, a red pen, okay? A pen that is rectangular shape, uh, cylindrical shape, or it could be rectangular, right? It doesn't matter. What matters is that I want anything, right, that is considered a pen. It could be any. Now, when I say this, right, it means I'm referring to a general or an indefinite noun. Okay? Next up, we also used the term specific or definite noun. By specific noun, it is the opposite of general. Definite is the opposite of indefinite. Now, when I say, give me the pen on the table, right? I mean that specific pen, meaning that I'm looking for not just any pen, but I am looking for exactly that one only, not just any, but that one. Okay? It's like when I say, give me the blue pen, the, the blue pen. I mean this one, specifically this one, not just any, but this one. Okay? So that is a definite noun. Now we use these adjectives, right, to show if the nouns that we are referring to are general or they are specific. All right, let's move on. Let's go to the next part. Now, let's look at the types of articles. As we already stated previously, that some nouns are specific or definite, and others are general or indefinite. But we need to see, right, which articles fall in those groups. Okay, let's start. So we have indefinite or general articles. Here we have article N, it belongs under indefinite or general. Then we have article A, which also belongs under this group of indefinite or general article. So there are two articles which are considered indefinite or general articles. Then we have the second group, which is definite or specific article. And here we have article the. So the article there is considered a definite or specific article. So overall, we have three articles. Okay? N and A are considered indefinite articles, whereas there is considered a definite article. Okay? Let's now move to the next part where we actually look at the difference, right, between the article N and A. When do we use the article N and when do we use the article A? Okay, let's go there. So let's start with article N. Article N. So when do we use the article N? Okay, that's what we need to try to figure out. When do we use the article N? So N is used before a singular, general, indefinite noun that starts with a vowel sound. First vowel sound of this noun and not the first letter, okay, tells us to use, okay, the noun, okay? So the sound at the beginning of the word is the one that tells us to use the article N. If the sound of that word, the first sound of that word is a vowel sound, then we have to use an article N. Okay? So the first sound of the word tells us whether to use the article N or not. Right? Remember, it is about the first sound of the word, not the first letter. I will explain this further when we do examples. And remember, this noun should also be singular. It should be singular. I will also explain what we mean by singular. So let's move on. By singular, okay, I mean one person, animal, or thing. So singular means one, okay? Singular means one. So for you to use this article N, you must have one thing. And also, the first sound of that one thing, when you pronounce it, when you say it, it needs to have a vowel sound. Now, what is a vowel? As you know, vowels, right? It's A, E, I, O, U. The sound, though, or the sounds of these vowels are as follows. A, E, O, U. A, E, O, U. These are the sounds of the vowels. So if the first sound of the word starts with this A, E, O, U sound, then you need to put an article N before. If that noun is singular, if you've got one thing, okay? Singular, one. Okay? Let's do the examples. For example, I want an apple. So this is correct. Why? Why did we put an article N? Because the noun, which is apple, starts with the sound A. So we say apple. So it's apple. So it's A. The sound is A. So that's why then we put N, because the first sound of the noun, it's a vowel sound. Remember, it's not about the first letter, but the sound, the first sound. And remember also, this noun is singular. Apple, one apple. Not two, not three, not four, one. Okay? Remember this. Next example. It is an honor to meet you. Here, right, you can see the first letter is not a vowel letter. It is a consonant. But the sound, when we pronounce this word, right, we don't say the H. We start saying the O. Okay? So we pronounce it as honor. So the first sound is O. It's a vowel sound. So you see, it is not about the fact that the first letter is a vowel, but what we are looking into is whether the first sound, right, is a vowel sound. That's what dictates if we are going to use the article and the first sound. So we say honor. We don't say honor, but we say honor. Okay? Next up. Amy bought an orange. Okay? So the noun, it's orange. The first sound starts with an O. And it is singular, one orange. So that's why we use article N. All right? So now, let's move on. Let's go to the next rule. The next rule says, N is used before an adjective that starts with a vowel sound. N is used before an adjective that starts with a vowel sound and is followed by a singular general noun. First vowel sound of this adjective and not the first letter tells us to use N. Right? So in this case, it means if you've got an adjective before the noun, then we are going to focus on the first sound of that adjective that is before the noun. Okay? So again, the first sound of the adjective is what we are focusing on, not the first letter, but the first sound. That's our main focus. Let's look at the examples. For example, an honest person is needed for this issue. Again, you've got the word here, which is an adjective, honest. Honest is an adjective. Person is a noun. So in this case, the article, right, that we use is dependent on the first sound of the adjective that comes before the noun. In this case, our adjective is honest. So the adjective itself, when you spell it, it starts with an H. But when you pronounce it, it starts with the O sound, which is the vowel sound. So that's why we use N, even if the word itself starts with an H when you write it or when you spell it. What matters is the sound, the first sound when you say it. It starts with an O. So that's why then we use N. Next example. We need an excellent teacher to explain it. Okay? So you have excellent, which is an adjective. You have teacher, which is a noun. So the adjective excellent starts with the sound right? Which is a vowel sound. R, E, O, U. Like we said, these are what we call vowel sound. So that's why then, in this case, we use the article N, because the first sound of the adjective, which is before the noun, starts with a vowel sound, Okay, let's move on. We have another rule. The next rule states the following. It says, okay, so let me just move this camera over here because it's blocking the definition or the next rule rather. Okay, the next rule says, we don't put N before a plural general noun, even if its first sound is a vowel sound. A noun which can be plural is a countable noun. Okay, so here they have used, or rather we have used two new terms, which are plural and countable noun. So we need to first understand what they mean. What are these? So let's start with plural. So plural means two or more people, animals, or things. Remember, we said singular. Singular means one. But plural means two or more. Plural means two or more. So it can be two, three, four, five, six, and so on. Okay? So it means two or more people, things, or animals. Countable. Countable noun means noun we can count and say how many of it is there. So meaning if we can count this noun, for example, right? I have a pen here. So I have one pen. But if I take another object which is similar to this one, and then they are like two, then I have two. You see? So I can count one, two, three, four, five, pen. So a pen is countable. It is a countable noun because I can count one, two, three, four, five, and so on. Okay? People, accountable, or a person is accountable now because I can say one person, two people, three people, four people. So that's a countable now. I can count and say how many I have. So the rule says do not put article N before a plural general noun, meaning if I'm referring to two or more things, then I cannot use the article N. And if I'm referring to general things, of course, general two or more things, then I cannot use N. Okay, let's look at this. For example, I will buy apples. Okay, this is correct. I will buy apples. So apples, it's now more than one. It's not one. So that's why I don't put N. If it was just apple without S, then of course I was going to put an article N. But it's many articles, sorry, many apples. So I don't put the article N. So this sentence is correct. If I say, I will buy an apples, this is not correct. It's not correct because this noun is plural. It's two or more. It was going to be correct if only I was talking to one apple, like singular apple. But in this case, I'm talking about apples in plural, meaning two or more. So it's not correct. Another example, he likes eating oranges for lunch. This is correct. Why? Because my noun is in plural form. So I cannot put an article. However, this one is wrong. It's not correct because I have put N. I cannot put N. Why? Because my noun is in plural form. I'm referring to two or more oranges. So it's in plural. It's not singular. So this is not correct. All right, everyone. So let's move on. Let's keep on moving. Next rule. The next rule says we don't put N before an adjective with a first vowel sound if it is followed by a plural general noun. So do not put an article N before an adjective with a first vowel sound if it is followed by a plural general noun. So meaning that if there is a plural general noun after the adjective, even if the adjective itself starts with a first vowel sound, we don't put N. Let's do the example. For example, our company needs excellent employees. Okay, so you can see the adjective excellent, okay, it starts with the first vowel sound, which is a vowel sound. But we don't put the article N. Why? Because the noun after the adjective is in plural. It's not singular. It's two or more, right? So that's why then we don't put an article N. So this sentence is correct. However, this one is not correct. Why? Because even though the adjective's first sound starts with a vowel sound, the noun after it is in plural form, is not singular. That's why it is not correct. Next example. Honest leaders are very rare. This sentence is correct. Why? Because the noun after the adjective that starts with the vowel sound is in plural form, not singular, is in plural form. And remember, it is a general noun. So that's why we cannot use an article N. So the sentence is correct, like I said earlier on, but this one is not correct. Okay, this sentence is not correct. And honest leaders are very rare. Is not correct. Why? Again, because even though the first sound of the adjective is the vowel sound O, the noun after this adjective is in plural form. It is not in singular form. So that's why this particular sentence is incorrect. Right. Let's go to the next rule, which I believe will be the last rule that we are doing under the article N. So this rule says we don't put N before an uncountable general or indefinite noun that starts with a vowel sound. So we don't put N before an uncountable general indefinite noun. So uncountable noun is the opposite of countable. Remember, countable, we said we can count 1, 2, 3. But this one is the opposite, uncountable. It means we cannot count. Okay, so let me move my video screen over here because it's blocking the definition. Okay, so uncountable noun is a noun we can't count or can't give a number as to how many of it is there. It means we cannot count. We can't say 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? For example, water. Water is uncountable, right? Because you cannot count water. You can't say 1 water, 2 water, 3 water. You can't say that. But with the pen, you can say that. You can say, okay, 1, this is the first pen, second pen, third pen. Okay, so pen, countable, water, uncountable. But of course, I will prepare a lesson, right? Separate lesson on countable nouns versus uncountable nouns in future. Please be on the lookout for that specific video as well. Right now, let's just finish off these articles. So we cannot put an article N before an uncountable general noun, even if that noun starts with a vowel sound. For example, their director received information. Information is a noun and it is uncountable. You cannot count information. So that's why I did not put the article "an." So this sentence is correct. But if I say their director received an information, this is not correct. Why? Because information is uncountable. So I cannot use an article "an" because information is an uncountable noun. Next example, I need to give my friend advice. This is correct. Advice is an uncountable noun. Okay? You can't count it. Okay? So that's why I did not use an article "an." If I say, I need to give my friend an advice, this is not correct. Again, why? Because advice is uncountable. And the rule says you cannot use "an" before an uncountable noun, right? That is general or indefinite and that starts with a vowel sound. Or rather, even if it starts with a vowel sound, you cannot put this article "an." All right, everyone. So as I said, this was the first part on articles. Okay, I will upload another video, which will be the second part on the articles. In that video, we are going to talk about the article "an." Sorry, the article "a," not "n," because we're dealing with "n" now. So in the next video, we will deal with article "a." Okay? I didn't want to combine all of these parts together to avoid making the video too long. Okay? So please do look out for the next video that I will be uploading. In that video, I will touch on article "a." So with regards to article "and," we can stop here for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learn as much as possible. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye and take care.